day 4 of the worldwide quarantine, but we've all been kind of in our homes here for a while, and this is episode 4 of the COVID-19 in the entertainment business series for Kingdom of Rock podcast. And I have today with my co-host Michael Molenda, which you guys have, many of you already know Michael from his Guitar Player Magazine days, and he's also started a new website called Guardians of Guitar, which is you guys should all go check it out. But we have the amazing Chris Cannella from Deicide, guitarist for Deicide, and also he is the product manager for Dean Guitars.
Hey.
So Chris, what's up, brother?
How you doing, man?
Good, man. It's good to have you on. How you been doing? Are you surviving okay out there?
Yeah, it's getting a little stir crazy, but at the same point, fortunately I have a lot of work to do from home, with the company, with Armadillo, which is Dean Guitars and Luna Guitars and ukuleles, and so it's keeping me busy. It's the good thing. But normally there's been a lot of stuff that has happened because of it. I commute back and forth between Arizona and Florida, and it kind of put a halt to that. So indefinitely. So I'm working at home for a little while, and missing my bandmates in Florida and missing my coworkers in Florida. But at least I'm home with a family that I actually enjoy being around.
Which is one of the side benefits of, maybe few benefits of having a virus sweeping across the world and causing all kinds of chaos and bad things happening. We get to spend a little bit more time with our families and kind of reboot ourselves a little bit,
Yeah, I hear you.
So how are you doing today?
I'm trying to move my computer a little bit too. I see the glare coming in again. So.
Oh yeah. That beautiful sunshine out there in Arizona.
Oh yeah, nonstop. Yeah, that's a little better.
There we go. Ooh. So how are you doing today, Michael? We haven't talked too much.
Who are you? We've been talking all the time, which is great. But famous Chris is trying to deal with the 4 walls syndrome. I don't have children to deal with, but I do have 2 cranky canines, and
I got those too.
You got to keep everybody kind of happy, and I do notice that more people are putting more content out all the time, which is great. Check into artists that you may enjoy, or even like this, what we're doing here. The more time you have to kind of check out interesting stuff, I think it's good for all of the content providers out there.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of checking out interesting stuff, you're the product manager for Dean Guitars, and obviously, you don't necessarily have to answer this question exactly this way, but are people still buying guitars?
Yes.
Really?
Guitars are still happening. People still want it. It's still, guitars are still in demand because people still have a goal. The people that have really thought that this period of time is the end, or, whatever they want to say about it, the apocalypse, the zombie apocalypse, those are idiots. So really, people are buying guitars. They want guitars. It's just tough in places like California, where it's a complete lockdown. They can't leave to go buy them. But online sales are still happening. And I'm excited to say that, fortunately, over at Armadillo, our CEO, Evan Rubinson, has done everything, fought tooth and nail, to make sure that our warehouse is staying open and that customers are still able to get their equipment. Even when, everything started with the coronavirus, the factories were shutting down left and right. And we had no production from our Chinese products like Luna and our mid to lower tier Dean products like the acoustics and stuff like that, coming for almost 2 months. So we were fortunate enough to be able to keep a strong reserve of high moving product just in case, because we knew that the tariffs were coming. We knew a lot of stuff that was happening ahead of time, not ahead of time, but we were paying attention to it.
Sure.
So we were able to build up our inventory to try to offset the tariffs, so we can build it up. Little did we know that we were actually building up our inventory, not just for tariffs, but for zero production out of China for a little while. So we were in a very lucky spot to have bought heavy at a certain point in time, thinking that we were avoiding another crisis. Um, but it is exciting. People are still fans out there. People still want to play guitar. People still have the dream. And even though basically every musician is now confined to their home and can't even jam right now, trust me, as a guy in on both sides of the spectrum, it's you get antsy and you want to get out there. We love,
Right.
and we're in the middle of writing a record. So fortunately, technology is like you were saying earlier, Michael, how people are doing a lot more posting, doing a lot more stuff online. Fortunately, we're able to trade files that way. We're able to write and send each other riffs and do stuff for the next DSI record. So it's at least we're being productive. For lack of a better term.
It's interesting because I know your CEO has always been pretty smart and cagey and strategic. So I mean, it's interesting that you've got inventory for something and then it ended up being good for something else. But
yeah,
but you have a unique perspective because like I as just a person at home, musician, journalist, whatever. I don't know whether the inventory of places like online retailers are holding and most of your sales are there, or do you still serve those online retailers during
absolutely.
this?
Absolutely. Our warehouse is still in full function. We're
Okay.
still doing product out, and because at least at this point in time, and I knock on MacBook wood or whatever you want to call it. Florida has not done a complete lockdown. It's like Arizona, where there is no all restaurants must be takeout and delivery only. Same with bars, but warehousing and industry is still very, very strong. So while a lot of people were shut down and aren't able to help out a lot of these online dealers, we have been able to, and we've fought tooth and nail and done everything possible to make sure that everybody in our warehouse, everybody in our managerial offices is set to make sure that we're getting our job done, whatever it takes. And Evan has been absolutely, leading this charge on every level, and it's been pretty exciting. And our dealers that we are dealing with are very grateful that we're figuring out ways to get around things and make sure that they get their product in. If we have to ship it directly to one person and they can bring it to the warehouse, whatever it takes, we're there for it.
So to your earlier point, because I mean, people tend to like to make assumptions. I mean, you are actually still shipping to your retailers. That has not stopped. So anybody who says, "Oh, no one's buying online, no one's obviously going to stores, inventory is going to fall off, and nobody's going to have any guitars in 6 months." That's absolutely not true because you're on the inside, so right?
Well, I mean, of course, shopping is slowed down in music retail, but online retail has not. And with people that are doing e-commerce direct, without them, I mean, in all honesty, let's just be brutally honest. Without the e-commerce guys, this industry would have been over 8 years ago. So e-com has changed the entire environment of what customer service is, what purchasing is like, and how everything happens. And now there's multiple venues that have done it at the next level, where they've optimized customer service, optimized the return policies, everything else to give a consumer experience even better, to not just make it 100% digital. If you like this, click this box. So there is a lot of guys out there that are getting it, and it's exciting because they're still going to be around. And even with places like where New York is in a complete lockdown, where California is in a complete lockdown, Chicago and Washington, there are still a lot of people out there that are trying to buy musical instruments from places. And this is
with that in mind, though, is it hard to ship stuff? Is it harder to ship stuff now?
You can ship whatever. It's a matter of who's there to receive it. So how do you get it received? Is it going to a warehouse? Is it going to a private residence? If it's one place, if it's just going to a music store, an individually or privately owned music store, that owner-operator can be there, because as long as it's not 10 or more people in the facility, he's allowed to be in there to receive the shipments.
Right. But what about like let's just say I'm at home, I'm locked down, and I'm like, man, my favorite Dean artist is giving guitar lessons on the internet. They're at home, they can't tour. right? But I
Right.
don't have a guitar. How do I? Is it pretty easy to get a guitar in my hands from the internet right now in a reasonable amount of time?
You can get one in 24 hours. You can
Okay.
find music stores. I mean, I can name stores off all day, but if I name too many of them, the ones that I don't mention are going to be mad that I didn't mention them. There's a
Right.
lot of great dealers out there that are e-com, and if you're sitting in your house and you need a guitar, you can go onto multitude of websites that will have something shipped to you, and you can have it in 24 hours, if not less, for amps,
Wow.
gear, whatever. It's all there. The e-commerce industry has truly elevated the guitar industry to next level to where it is, and I hate to sound cliched, and one of those people that can get those for you is Amazon, is places like that, the general, the big stores like that. And you have a lot of other great dealers, that haven't been really affected, like I said, I don't want to name a whole bunch and upset people, but, you have your Sweetwaters, you have a bunch of people like that. You have your AMS, retail solutions that can get product out to you the same day.
Now,
Do you,
yeah, go ahead.
does Dean look at promotion a little differently now in the crisis? Because, let's say you're a musician who's, a little bit scared, let's say, or whatever, and what type of, uh, promo, whether you've done it or you think would be a good idea to do it, to kind of reach out to these musicians and go, hey, we're still here. We still have our guitars if you want them, acoustic, electric, whatever you want. I'm not trying to, be kind of a hammer on the head buy, but
No, I
the
get you.
promotion must be a little bit different today than it would have been the middle of last year, right?
Well, it is and it isn't. Nowadays, with digital marketing has really taken a big boost in the world of marketing. Now, I don't want to speak for our head of marketing, which is John Palumbo. He works with Josh Maloney, who's the head of artist relations. But those two work together, hand in hand. But basically, from my perspective on it, there's so many different ways of telling the story out there instantly to people to let them know that we're still here for you. And yeah, it is more digital because, as you know, I mean, even though print ads, don't have the significance as they used to by any means, people are still getting their magazines even digitally. So you can still do ads on your digital magazines and even the stuff that you get in the mail still. Because there's guys like me that still actually like magazines and the cool stuff that you get inside of them. But I still have a lot of online subscriptions as well. There's ways to promote, and there's ways that you can have your artists and your everybody telling your story. And like I do it all the time. I show people my work desk, and you probably can see it right here. You see I have two guitars right there at all times, ready to go while I'm sitting here, doing my job and managing spreadsheets and analytics at the same time. So I'm able to take a break, go over, jam some guitar, take a video of it, send it off to just a few people. Say, look, man, just tear some up. Using the stock guitar right here. Why don't you go? And I had toured with the same stock guitar, so I tell that story, and people really seem to like the authenticity of that. And I hate to use that cliche term, but let's just say the genuine, the genuine statement of that I play what I make.
Well, in a certain sense, that's awesome that at least for now, there hasn't been any, sea changes in how you reach out to people. I don't know if this thing lasts for another 6 months, if we're going to all have to look at our marketing and figure out how to pull people out of the abyss and get them playing music again or not. But
Yeah.
but it's good. It's good. But for now, you guys everything's just as normal, pretty much.
For the most part, but we've had to change a few things around. Don't get me wrong. This is not a, just an easy thing to step in and out of. We're fortunate. I mean, anything can happen. The state of Florida can put us on lockdown, and that would make some changes. And we'd have to figure out how to, get the wheels continuing to move. And that's something that I know that, Evan and the team of the upper echelon of the company can figure that out together. We all work together hand in hand. But we're still going to be trudging forward, and we have to. And with today's music environment, people are always going to want to play guitar. Nowadays, as you well know, Mike, a lot of the the YouTube stars have never even seen a stage in their life.
Yeah, true.
They don't even know how to really retube an amp. They are using plugins and they're doing stuff like that. And there's nothing. I'm not saying anything negative by any means by that. It's just it's a different type. There's two different audiences. You have your active, or actually three. You have your local audience. You have your national, international touring musicians, and then you have your digital, for lack of a better term, YouTube stars. So you have to figure out a way to balance all three of those and give them all the same amount of respect for the work that they're putting in on their end.
Sure. Matt,
So, well, I was just thinking that, Chris, you were talking about, artists promoting promoting their music and the brand and everything. Like, actually, when I originally met you, you were an artist relations guy at another company earlier in your career. And, like what, based on your experience, now you're a product manager, you're basically, first I'd like to ask, like, what's the big difference between those two jobs? And from an artist relations perspective, what would like a brand, like a guitar brand, like to see from their artists during a time where we've got everybody at home and everyone's got a lot of time, they're not making money? Like what, like, put that into perspective a little bit.
Right. Okay. Well, let me put this out there. I'll start from the top, and that is, I've always been in product management, believe it or not. Even at the last company and the company that I was with before, where I actually met you, Michael, through Jason Farrell. I was always been in product management, and then I got into artist relations simultaneously. The difference is in product management, there's a lot to do with supply chain. So it's more than just designing the guitars. It's finding out where they're going to be built, what the quality or the standard of quality is going to be, the price points, where it's going to fit into the marketplace, and then teaming up with your marketing team to see who's going to tell the story of your creation. Now, artist relations is part of more on the marketing side of things, to where how do you get these artists to tell your story? What about your product clicks with them? And I really am more of the guy that, with artist relations, and this is just my perspective. This is not, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but where if you are looking to get an endorsement for the sake of the endorsement, well, then you're calling the wrong guy. But if you've heard the story of the products that we've developed and they really connect with you and you're loyal and you really love that brand, like genuinely love that brand, then that's the right door to open first. There's so many people that play the endorsement game in the touring world, especially, and also in the digital world. Hey, if you give me this many guitars, I'll put this many, I'll show you, get this many views on your page. And it's like a tit for tat kind of thing. Or, hey man, these guys are offering me this kind of deal. You know what? Do you love my stuff? If you don't, go. I'll shake your hand. And if you need the number for the competition, I got their number. We're all friends. We're not enemies around here. Especially nowadays, everybody has to work together. So it is a difference. And what the main thing you love to do is when you have an artist that really loves your stuff, they'll get you content. They'll put up their own videos and send them to you because they're proud to play your stuff. We get so much great content from guys, from everybody from like Michael Amott, from Arch Enemy, all the way to like Michael Schenker, the A to Z in the Sound of Dean. And people really, those guys were just, and Eric Peterson from Testament. I hope everybody's doing good out there. I'm so worried about those guys right now.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. That's terrible.
It's horrible.
Like three bands, I think, three bands, like
Testament,
Slayer,
and Death Angel. No, it wasn't Slayer. It was Testament, Exodus, and Death Angel. They were on basically a tribute to the Bay tour throughout Europe, and all three of the bands were on tour together, and they, got exposed, and a few people got contaminated. So it's been scary because these guys have been my friends for a really, really, really long time.
Yeah, that is scary for sure. And a lot of people, I'm starting to see friends of friends that are, I know of two situations where a friend of a friend have died from the coronavirus, for me personally. So like it's starting to hit close to home, and it's like I'll be real honest with you. When it first came out, I thought we were making too big of a deal about it. You know what I mean? Like
because we all went.
I was one of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I was too. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. After going through H1N1 and going through SARS, and I've done so much international travel between being a product manager and then, now especially with DS, I've been touring across the world with them. We're like, man, how bad can this really be? Well, yeah, guess what? It's the worst part about it was the lack of knowledge, and the lack of knowledge about it, and not knowing what it could happen, and then how fast it spread. So the main thing is let's not mock each other. Let's not talk crap about each other. I don't care if you're left, right, or right down the middle. This is about a time about just being a human being. Let's take care of each other. Help each other out. Stay inside. Do the basic rules. Get some exercise. Spend time with your family. Do things right. Don't be an idiot out there. There's a lot of guys doing it. So.
And you know what? It's kind of maybe the lesson from all this, if there's a such thing as a lesson from all this, might be like, hey, and when it's over, keep doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine, like, if we could just, like, we're kind of being put on pause here, and it's like, depending on your perspective, the universe, the planet, God, whatever, somehow we're being told to, like, think about what really matters.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like family, people, human beings, like are
Yeah.
we coexisting with each other, and like we're all in this together. We're all connected. Like, so it's a valuable lesson that we're learning here. And even some of the things, like, well, I was gonna say, as a company like Dean Guitars, for example, like there's probably lessons about humanity that could be applied to business here later. After this gets lifted, after things go back to normal, whatever normal is going to be in the future, like there's probably some lessons to
Well,
be applied about things.
the same thing. I believe it's very cyclical. I think there's always going to be some horrible thing that happens. There's always going to be something that challenges people, challenges humanity to kind of come together and put things in a perspective. This isn't the first time in our lifetime that something like this has happened by any means. We've gone through a lot of crazy things, and I'm in my 40s. I remember the oil crisis, when I was a kid and waiting for hours for gasoline, and my family not being able to go to work because they didn't have a way to get there. Trains weren't working, things like that. And people got to have such a short-term memory loss. People seem to forget, man, something bad's going to happen again, even after COVID-19 happens. When this is settled, something's going to happen again, and we have to quit just saying, "Oh, we're past it. Everything's back to normal." No, these are things that you have to remember all the time. It's always about taking the extra moment. It's always about taking that extra moment for your customer, whether it be at your company, taking the extra moment for your family because you don't know, what's going to happen. Taking the extra moment to write an extra riff. Take an extra moment to listen to another riff. Taking a moment just to, check on somebody and see how they're doing. And you don't need a tragedy to make this stuff happen, but it will happen again. There will be something else in our lifetime that'll come up. May not be this bad, but something will happen again. Whether it be socially, economically, or whatever, some sort of thing will happen.
Yeah, very true. I just, I just hope that people learn something from this. It's kind of like I'm reminded of, going to a funeral. Somebody dies and and you run into a couple of friends and they go, "Oh, man, I haven't seen you in forever. This sucks. I'm sorry that X died. We got to stay more in touch, and it's really important that life is so short. Blah blah blah." And then, like, as soon as we leave the funeral home or the church or whatever, it's like, yeah, I never heard of that. I never heard from that person for another 6 months. So,
Yeah,
it's all about remembering what's
Yeah.
going on and having the grace to move it forward, because it's going to take us a long time to get out of this. I mean, whether the artists themselves can weather it, roadies, sound mixers, catering people. I mean, they're going to be putting their lives together for months after this, even if it ended today. So we all have to, practice. Like you said, Chris, we're going to practice support for a long time, because these people might not have been able to pay their rent for months.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many musicians out there that are relying on touring. I mean, right now, I mean, I'm lucky that I'm still, that I am a part of Armadillo, and it is my other family. I love being a part of that. But being totally frank, having all of our tours and festivals postponed already for this year was a big hit on all of us. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying woe is me. I'm saying for every musician out there that got hit.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
so many of them. I mean, my bandmates were just like, oh my gosh, this is the last thing we needed right now. We're in the middle of writing a new record. Everything is exciting. We're on a roll that we've never, it's hard to even explain how great it's been being a part of this band. I can't even express the words how much we get along, how much we love playing together. And this has to come in and put things on the sidelines. And it's like that for so many bands. So many bands. Bands across the ponds who I've been talking to, who were really banking on coming to the States for a big, massive tour this year. Now that's taken out of their income, and they can't even tour within Europe anymore. So it's like nobody's really able to tour the States right now. We can see what happens at the end of the summer or whatever, but there's a lot at play. We don't know.
Well, I would like to say that one of the companies that I endorse, one of my guitar string companies, they which I could say Diodario, they are compiling a list of artists that are teaching online lessons, and they are going to put it out to all their people, like all their media channels and what have you.
There's a lot of companies doing free online lessons, a lot of people advertising and helping people around. The one thing that I can honestly say, and I'm not trying to be Mr. Go Hippie here. I mean, I'm a satanic death metal band, and I have goats tattooed all over my body. But I mean,
right.
I'm a hippie. Go ahead.
Hey, we had Striper on here last night, so it balances out, right?
But it's like it really is, I hate to date myself or sound like this isn't some, cheer fest or anything. But I mean, when shit happens, dude, people really tend to the people that last through this are the ones that check on each other and really bond together to make things happen. One of my best friends on this planet, named Muncie Ritchie, does a lot of radio. He's pretty much the number one radio guy in this country. Known him for 20-something years. He was a volunteer first responder at 9/11, and he got locals to get together and help out the fire department and the police department and help everybody else. And during a horrible time with New York, well, they're going through it again, and you're seeing a lot of people getting together. My neighborhood out here in Arizona, all the teachers at the schools are out there trying to give our kids online schooling. While they can do it at home, they're putting together curriculums, and they're giving the kids free breakfast and lunch all around the valley of the Phoenix Valleys. So they're keeping stuff together, and when you go online and you see all these people whining and crying and saying, oh, it's this guy's fault, it's this guy's fault, it's this, and if you say this, I'm going to unfriend you, and if you do this, you know what? Just ignore it. Just ignore it. You guys are all idiots. So it's panic mode. That's not helping anybody. You're not solving anything, not getting anything done. Play an album, crank it loud, have fun, do some crazy stuff with your wife after the kids go to bed. Do whatever you got to do, make it fun, and make the best out of it. Don't sit there and complain, because if complainers, nobody wants to hear that. If you're on tour with me and all you did was complain the whole time, dude, I can guarantee you my bandmates will be throwing that guy out of the bus quick. Nobody needs to hear that.
Or sacrificing him over a spit in the hotel room. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I like I said, Chris, I'm a hippie, and I agree with all that stuff, and I really believe that we'll come out of this, and hopefully everyone we love and all our friends will come out of this as well, because it's going to be tough for a while, and people are going to pass away, and that's going to suck, and business is going to be disrupted, and that's going to suck. But
things come back.
Yeah, true. But from a purely business standpoint, because once again, you have a unique perspective. You have a band that's a business. It has stopped. The money has stopped. Revenue has stopped. I think. I mean, maybe you guys are selling merch. Maybe you guys have got a way to kind of bring some money in the interim. But could you share some elements of your plan during the downtime, even if it's just we're going to take 3 months off and come back together later? Or?
Well, for Deicide, what we're doing right now, obviously, there is a merch machine that really is the business of that handles a lot of the business and supplies a lot of the funding for the business, which is, been Glenn and Steve's thing since the inception. But during this time, since we had so much touring booked, but we also had to have an album done, hey, it sucks for missing out on this touring, but now we actually can get this album done. So,
Okay.
and this is my first time being on an album with Deicide. So for me, it's exciting. So, hey, I lost a few things there. We didn't get to go out of the cool tour, but man, I'm really stoked to be on my first Deicide record.
And I imagine everything's being done digitally, just trading tracks back and forth, right?
Yeah, exactly. But we had a bunch of songs together from when I commute out there to Florida all the time. And the whole point was I was going to be relocating to Florida here this summer in June.
Huh.
But all of that, we got to figure out what's going on with, with work and what who's allowed to fly, how we're going to get the stuff down there. All this coronavirus thing really did maybe have shifted the wheels on a few things, but it's still I'm still moving down to Florida here this year. Hopefully, still this summer.
Just so I understand, when you went to Florida to work on did you get the basic tracks done in a studio already? Where you kind of
write them out, rehearse them, record them live. And Glenn and Steve go back and really analyze them because those guys really are the core. Those guys are the founders. We all get to write, we all get to contribute, but as long as they're the ones that really make the decision. Does this sound enough? Does this sound right for this next Deicide record? Is this the goal we're going for? So we do. We write them out. We jam them out. Everybody comes down with ideas. And then, during the day, I'm over at Armadillo, and then at night I'm down there. So we got a lot done. I think we're still about, maybe 4 or 5 songs away from having a whole thing ready for proper pre-production here later this year. So, we're utilizing this time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, make the best out of it. You may not be out on the road right now making the money or the merch money that you need to, but utilize it to be creative. There's too many bands, as we all know, have been in a position where they had to rush an album because they didn't have enough time to jam on it, and they had obligations to whether it be a label or just time frames to having stuff out. Now it's, you have the opportunity to I hate to say look on the bright side, but hey, screw it. Get out there and just make the best at it.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question for some of our younger listeners, people that might be getting interested in learning the instrument, learning how to play guitar, or learning how to play drums. Well, let's go with we're all guitar players here, so we can start with that. But I know
we're too now.
What's that?
I'm drumming too. You drum too, Matt.
I know. Look, but like, what would you recommend as a starter guitar, like at Dean? Like what are some products that you would recommend for like a younger guitar player that they want to learn how to play the instrument? Kind of like a good guitar to start with.
Well, it all depends on 2 things. One, what style of music is your passion? There's always, like when I was a kid, I was always told you have to have an acoustic first, but then I ended up getting an electric first, and I ended up going back to acoustic later. I spend so much of my life on acoustic guitar, believe it or not. I write mostly on acoustic guitar, even writing death metal music, but it all comes down to what's good for the person. Find out. There's no rule. It's just like music theory. There's no rule. It's a skeleton to follow. So when somebody says, what's a perfect starter guitar? I say, first of all, what are you into? For Dean, I'm going to say, try an X Series guitar, or, try one of we do have entry-level models, the Evo XMs and stuff like that. They're $199 guitars, but, I always say, buy something that's going to make that you love to play, makes you want to stick with it. If you're into softer side of stuff, I would say, let's go over to Luna. Maybe try a ukulele. Maybe try out a nylon string first, so you're not getting that abrasive backlash on your hands when you're a kid and you're like, wow, this is really, really tough. There's no right or wrong answer. It just comes down to what do you think is best for you? What looks cool for you? What fits your personality? Because everybody has a different personality. I like V's and, for lack of a better term, super strat style bodies. Those are my thing. But not everybody's like that. Some kids want crazier shapes. Some people like single cut shapes. I never really worked very well with a single cut shape, just the way my hands work, So, and I never identified with it. So, it what comes down to what does that person think is awesome looking, and then I'd say start off with the next series, or start off with if you're on the acoustic side, maybe some of those really nice Luna henna stuff. Really great way to get things going, or a ukulele.
So, go ahead, Michael.
No, go ahead, Matt. I'll ask something on the screen.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, okay, so I don't know the difference between. I'm new. I don't know the difference between a ukulele and an acoustic guitar and electric guitar. Like, I guess I'm just saying, being devil's advocate for all the listeners out here, right? So, like the nylon strings, were you talking about? Like, I have these permanent dents on my fingers from playing electric steel guitar, right? So, maybe talk a little bit more about the differences between like a nylon string guitar and a steel string guitar.
Well, a nylon string guitar, the best way to put it is that it's just what it is. They're a little bit smaller of a size generally in the body. The necks are they're more flat on the fingerboard, but the strings themselves, they are nylon rather than steel. When people first start playing on a steel string guitar, you have to build up calluses on your fingertips. And that first time of building up calluses can become a bit enduring or painful, for a young kid. But a nylon string, you can start off pretty easily, and the callus builds a lot slower with a lot less abrasion because it is a nylon string, so it's soft. Like if you have like a nylon guitar pick, it's the same thing, it's just one is soft. And a ukulele is the same type of string per se. You have nylon strings. You also have steel string ukuleles as well, but they're smaller instruments with a lot less tension on the strings. And there's only 4 strings on a ukulele, generally 4 strings on a ukulele. So it's easier to figure out chords. If you're not one to dive in and start learning about chords and scales and more complex things, but you just want to fiddle around and kind of get a little bit more of that instant gratification, a ukulele may be a little bit more your speed. But if you want to make guitar your thing and you want to dive in, like I believe in just diving in head first and just going for it. But some people want to build up to it. So if you want an electric guitar, I would say go to the next series guitar, steel string electric, that are affordable. To get started, would have all the cool aesthetics and all the functions that you want. But then if you want like an acoustic style guitar, if you've never played it before, then let's start off with a nylon string. That's what I would always say.
I will say one thing. If you haven't checked out Chris's YouTube videos of him destroying the guitar, I mean, he is an amazingly precise and furious player. So he's definitely got some chops, and you should go check him out for sure. So I bet you could destroy a ukulele too if you really wanted to.
I would like to. I mean, I'm trying to figure out a way to put a Floyd on a ukulele. Right?
I've always been kind of a punk rocker. I mean, I could grab anything and go out and play with it. I mean, obviously, I'm of the age where my first guitar, the action was about, I think, maybe 7 inches off the fretboard or something. So those days are gone.
I had one of those.
Mm-hmm. And I can go to NAMM or a store anywhere, walk into the Dean booth, pick up one of your beginner guitars, $199, $299, $399, whatever, retail, play that thing and go, I could gig with this right now. I mean, the quality is so amazing. Like the frets are well done, the finish is well done. So
everybody makes it
start moving up. I mean, because the thing is, like, when you start moving up, what typically does Dean start putting into the quality level? Because the quality level at your low end is amazing. So what do I get when I start paying $699 and $899 and stuff like that?
You start getting into build. So let's say you're getting into multi-piece necks or laminate necks. You're getting into different types of tops, different levels of wood quality in itself, whether it be, going from a let's just say like a laurel fingerboard up to then to a rosewood or a palfaro, and then getting into ebonies, and then moving into veneer tops and the quarter-inch tops, and you're getting multiple bindings, and it starts becoming more and more of the aesthetic, and then the playability as well, because then the hardware, like the better Floyds come on them, or the better Kahlers, or the better pickups start coming into them. We start using more expensive components, as we go up. And the way we like to do it at Dean is me and Eric, we have everything done into a 3-tiered system. Basically like a good, better, best. So we have X Series, Classic Series, and Select Series for the imports. Select Series are basically like your pro level. This is what, I use on tour. This is what, most bands will be using on tour. And then the Select Series is kind of like what people have known of Dean for a very long time, with like the ML79s, the Dimebag models, things like that are in that price point. Where we start getting into the newer tops, more the classic appearance, but they have the more name brand pickups, where we start introducing the real Seymour Duncans, and all that kind of stuff. The X Series is like, it plays great, looks great. It's going to have DMT design, like import OEM pickups. It's going to have like the Floyd Special on it, not the 1000 series. And it's the stepping stone. So it's always a good, better, best. And then when you get past Select Series, that's when you get into USA Custom.
Okay. Yeah, because it's I pissed off one manufacturer. I won't mention who, but I just said, your low price line is so awesome. There's no way I'm spending $2,800 on your guitar.
Right.
I'm staying right in.
I will say this though, the price point for a guitar that I didn't have any issues with as a player used to be $1,000, right? That used to be like, okay, there's nothing that really annoys me about this guitar, right? Like the tuners go out of tune or anything like that. But I think manufacturing has gotten so good now. The price point is down to like a $200 or $300 guitar is still a very quality instrument that you can,
it is, because all of us use the same.
Play.
Most of us use the same factories. Not all of us, but most of us use a lot of the same factories, and we all know each other. We all kind of share off of each other's techniques. Like, oh man, I see what you guys are doing on that spec. Oh, I see what you're doing on that spec. Oh, we'll try that too. And for the individuality of it, that's why it comes down to certain things like, whether it be the shape of the instrument, the aesthetic of the instrument, the attitude, or even just certain functions that make that item, that brand a brand, like V-shaped necks are very, very tied to Dean.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would never use one at my last company. They would like almost kick me out of the building if I wanted to put a V-shaped neck on a guitar.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that you use your history and your tradition that you can combine with modern build and modern aesthetic, and then while still keeping your identity. Of course, everybody's making great stuff.
Do you?
I still remember when Hyundais were crap. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you have a opinion about the initial Chinese factories or the offshore factories? I mean, we'd get things and we'd all notice, oh man, this is not awesome. And then all of a sudden,
right.
Awesome. Was that a matter of the factories getting more pride, or the companies kind of watching a little close to what was coming out, or a combination of the two?
No, it comes down to the same people going to, when we were kids, I remember when Japanese guitars started, electric guitars.
Right.
Everybody's like, oh god, Japanese guitars. Now they're the highest, now they're the most expensive guitar in the world, Japanese guitar.
Yeah.
But it came from, and this is just like a little history, so bear with me as I'm going to draw this out a little bit. But as American great luthiers and great builders, like real, forefronting guys in this, they would fly over to Japan and teach them how to build. Well, then as they were building, they needed something. As they were building up that, to looking into other countries, the same guys would teach them how to build.
Mhm.
So even nowadays, where Chinese guitars just, gosh, 15, 20 years ago, whatever, were looked at as like the absolute bottom of the pile. Now, really competitively, they're pretty quite amazing. And it's because the same people that taught Korea how to build, the same people that taught Indonesia how to build, the same people that taught Taiwan and India how to build, taught China how to build. So it's really, and it takes time to break in any factory, teaching them how to do frets, how to do fret ends, how to do neck angles, neck pitches, get intonation, bridge heights, all these little things that matter. It takes a while, but they all learn it and then they share that information. As as it just like as we say on with people online, how a video goes quote unquote viral, so do guitar techniques of building. They go viral across all the factories.
Right.
There's not that many guitar factories out there. So
Is there any innovation in guitars anymore? Like,
Sure
have we
there is.
run out of ideas?
No, absolutely not. We may have ran out of notes when we finished off at 12,
Yeah.
but there's so many new innovations out there. And there was a big pause in innovation. I'll say this, for the longest time, there wasn't anything that was really innovative after the Floyd Rose and the EMG.
Right.
Okay, everything
Right.
just kind of halted. Everything was just a derogatory or a derogative of the same thing. Then all of a sudden we got things like Evertune, Fishman Fluence, just to name a few things. I mean, there's so many things in the works right now. I don't even want to give away a few of them that we're working with somebody that we're just like, wow, all right, finally people are starting to think again. Because as we know, and I'm guilty of it as well, I don't experiment on my own stuff with my own gear. I don't experiment. I know what I like and I stick to it. Guitar players tend to be that way.
Oh, yeah.
We are the slowest growing, the slowest evolving group of manufacturing in the world. I mean, cars have their own Wi-Fi in them now, which, just 4 years ago was unheard of. Where guitars now are like, whoa, man, I got this wireless. I don't need a battery. It has a recharger, and it took them 30 years to make a rechargeable wireless. So I mean, it's slow because guitar players are more set in their ways, and they don't accept a lot of innovations. So a lot of these guys that are doing this new innovations took the time to do it right and made it cool.
Do you think? I imagine that Summer NAMM's probably a no-go this year. Has the
At this point, it looks that way, but I can't confirm.
Yeah, well, I don't know either, but I mean, is there a pause, do you think, at some companies on what the next models are going to be, or are companies still working on the next release?
That's a good question, because in all honesty, let's get this out of everybody's mindset. NAMM and Summer NAMM are really there for social engagements, okay?
Yeah.
With today's technology, nobody really needs a trade show to launch a guitar or a product or a piece of innovation. You can tell the story with simple, as we used to call it, sniper product placements or sniper, ads and things like that, where you can go out and you can target your exact audience in a matter of hours and spread that word up to 1 million people if you're willing to pay for it. And the cost of that is a lot less than a NAMM booth and a bar tab. All right, so it's like the NAMM thing is really much more of a social and temporary, and I wouldn't even say marketing, because the marketing is forgotten at NAMM 2 weeks after it happens. Nobody talks about it anymore.
It's so funny though, because, with me spending 20, well, actually, if you count electronic musician, like 30 plus years in the music journalism world, it's just funny because you just triggered a thought but everything still runs around Summer NAMM, Winter NAMM. But what you're saying, and it's true, it's like, you know what? We're not going to go to Winter NAMM. We're not going to go to Summer NAMM. We're going to release our products on May 3rd. You could totally do that.
Yeah.
Probably not have no ill effect to that at all.
No, we don't do a NAMM booth at Winter NAMM. We did a meeting room, and we have a little podium downstairs. People come meet us upstairs, and it's by meeting time only. You have to have an appointment. We threw our own NAMM at our facility in Florida. I believe it was in December, and we're going to do it this year. It's called AAA, basically Armadillo All Access, and where we fly in, 100 of our favorite people, show them the line, show them what we're working on, make it private, get a party, private party that's basically invite only, this kind of thing. And we got more out of that than we did like the last 3 NAMs combined, as far as ROI and things of that nature. Evan really went forth and has this vision we all see on the same page over there. We don't think like the traditional company, and maybe that's one of the good things about having a CEO that was raised under Elliott, but yet still young enough with enough piss and vinegar to be like, man, I'm tired of playing this old man's game. Let's do it my way. Yeah. And so we're taking the combination of both, and it's been exciting. It's exciting. I mean, it's running fast, and yeah, this whole coronavirus thing, yeah, it's a motherfucker right now. It is not awesome. Okay, we all know that. It's terrible. I'm not making light of anything. Nobody knows what can happen.
Yeah.
During this, we're still going to keep our focus and our vision going forward, and to help our dealers, help our customers, and help our artists every way we can, and of course help our employees first and foremost. And keep, just like with DSI, we're going to keep making music. Yeah, we can't go out on tour right now. Man, we can't give people the show that we wanted to show them, but we're going to give you one hell of a good record this year, next year. It's the same thing. So
go, Chris.
Hey, man, horns up to you guys, dude.
Yeah, dude. Well, okay, one last question from me, and then I'll let Michael have one more. We're getting close to our threshold here. So it's when you talk about innovation as a guitar player, like what is the one thing that you wish a guitar could do that it doesn't really do? Like a feature, like maybe like a tranquilizer dart to get that guy that's filming you right in front of your face and won't stop, kind of like take him out for a second. You know, like what innovation would you like dream of,
That's funny coming from a product design guy. There's always things that you think about, whether they be things on the fingerboard that can change things up. Well, that's been done. How about things where you can switch out pickups instantly? Well, that's been done recently. How about things where you can change, maybe, I've always thought of different concepts of where your tremolo unit is stabilized, almost like, for lack of a better term, if you were to somehow mix a Floyd with an Evertune but not route out the body. That would be amazing for me. That way it can resonate stuff, resonate. As of the last 5 years, I switched from neck-through guitars back to bolt-ons. I fell in love with bolt-on instruments again because I just fell in love with the original sound of that mid-range punch that you only get from a bolt-on instrument. And when people say, oh, bolt-on's cheap, no, it's not. I can show you a lot of $8,000, $10,000 bolt-on guitars right now. That doesn't mean anything. So so what do I think? What is out there that I don't know? Or that I would like to see on a guitar that isn't there? Yeah, and an Evertune Floyd or Evertune tremolo, I don't know, something like that, maybe. Because right now, the next wave of true innovations going to come out of necessity. So whatever the next, is the old thing, the greatest inventions come out of necessity. So whenever we figure out that something cannot be done, then it'll happen.
Michael, what you got to wrap up here?
Well, just as a product designer and a journalist, I know that the staff of Guitar Player, we would always discuss it. Man, if I see one more T-style or S-style guitar made by everybody, I think there was always discussions about, do we review it or not? I mean, everybody's seen this, what's the difference? And then I would get confused about, like you were talking about, the $399 Telly style and the $8,000 Telly style made by some boutique guy in the mountains somewhere in Virginia. It's like, I don't even know what to do. But, Dean has always been, even back in the early days, trying not to do what everybody else is doing. So when you're looking at 2020 or 2021 at the types of players that are out today, do you as a designer go, oh, I'm going to need sharper bouts, or I'm going to need different colors, or I'm going to need, I mean, what kind of things go through your mind when you're looking at designing for the younger generation players?
What I'm looking at, and it's a really good question. I actually appreciate you bringing that up. One thing I look at is what the kids are, you have to watch their videos. What's their techniques like? And what are their techniques missing? Are they not bending anymore? Because you're seeing a lot of people bending less and less and just basically making digital sounds with their hands. So you're like, okay, so obviously everybody wants 16-inch, fingerboards, but that's really not our thing. We only offer that on one model, a 16-inch radius. We're keeping to the 12s. We're keeping to the classic things, but let's show people how to do a little bit more bending. Yeah, we do stuff. We come up with ideas that maybe can give a little bit more access on the backside. Do things like that for the sake of comfort. But I don't want to really copy what everybody else is doing. I can pretty much say with all certainty, you're not going to see a Dean with no headstock on it.
Okay.
Of any style. You're not going to see, yeah, of course, will we utilize some other technologies? Will we utilize multi-scales and things like that? We'll experiment with it, but it's not our core, because and this is a true story that I can wrap up with. The reason why I say never chase the trend. I was at a music store 4 years ago over in, it's a store called Full Compass over in, I think it's like Minnesota.
Yeah.
And, huh?
Yes, yeah.
And I saw this kid, and he was sitting there, and he was just playing a guitar. And I walked up to him, and out of all things, he was playing the song "The Sentinel" from Judas Priest, that 1984, Defenders of the Faith. And I walked up to him, and I was like, "Hey, man, how old are you?" He's like, 15. Whoa. I was like, "Wait a second, man, you're playing Judas Priest, "The Sentinel." And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, shouldn't you be listening to Bring Me the Horizon or Pierce the Veil or anything like that?" And he goes, "Dude, these guys played amps. This is real."
Right.
And everything
Right.
changed. And I was like, "Listen,
Right.
you should not just follow trends for the sake of trends, because you will fade out. If you stick to your guns, you can utilize modern technologies. You can utilize innovations to enhance the guitars for certain players. We would do that more in the Select series, while we keep this Classic series a lot more traditional. And still appeal, but still stick to our guns, still be to ourselves and who we are. I'm not afraid of being in my own skin. We're not afraid of not being the cheapest guitar in the world. We don't want to be the cheapest guitar. We never wanted to be. We never wanted to be the most expensive either. We're just happy making what it takes, or take what is needed to make the right guitar and to keep it neat.
Well, I don't want to go on, but I just love the thing you said where, you've got some of the math rockers and the YouTube players who are using Strandbergs with no headstock. And I love the fact that you said, all right, maybe those kids aren't bending as much, but we'll figure out a different way to bring it, rather than just go, well, for those kids, we'll just do no headstock, and then we go.
No, you gotta show different stuff. You find those kids as influence, and you get somebody to play like a really good bluesy Carcass riff on it. Next thing you know, that kid's like, "Oh man, that's cool." The real deal of rock and roll is slowly coming back, and I really think that it sounds terrible to say it, but after this whole Corona thing is over with, you're going to see a lot more real rock and rollers and real tube ampers getting back together and just being excited about loud music again, because they're not having to learn and play and practice with headphones on anymore. They're able to get out and do it loud,
Right.
True.
That would be a great marketing campaign, kind of like get out and be loud.
Well, that's kind of like how, do you remember when Toyota or when Scion came out with those I can't remember what they're called, the B something like that, they look like a toaster, the cars. They did an amazing ad where because they couldn't sell them to save their life until they put an ad out, and I believe it was Your magazine, where it said, "This Scion fits a full Marshall stack and 2 guitars and a pedal board." And it showed it.
Yeah, with
That's brilliant.
I think the one with the hatch was open and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it started, and it just took off. And all of a sudden, musicians who didn't have a lot of money, which is all of them, were able to get a vehicle that wasn't a big truck and close their gear, and they can afford it. It was brilliant.
I mean, I have plugins, but all my amps definitely go to 11, 100%.
Yeah, all right.
You know. So,
Cool,
well,
guys.
all right, guys. Well, yeah, it was cool to have you on the show, Chris. And
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
yeah, hopefully we'll have you back. Chris was actually on probably about 3-4 years ago, I think, when I started the show. I think you were my third guest from Kingdom of Rock, if you remember that.
Yes, I do. I do. It's from
Yeah,
the last
we
day.
talked about
It was
guitar
actually
endorsement.
quite a while. It may have been. When did
Might
you
have been
start?
5 years ago.
I think it was more
like
5.
Yeah,
I've been at
gosh,
Armadillo for
time's
2.5
flying.
years.
Yeah. So, you know, but we definitely like to have you back on better circumstances, hopefully.
Hey, man.
You know, it's bad
Let
out
me
there,
know.
people. We know it. But hey, keep the faith, and I hope you and your family stay safe during this this crisis here. And everybody out there, just take care of each other, look out for each other. Reach out to your musician friends that you haven't talked to in a while. Check on them, see if they're doing okay. And
Right.
and if you're just a lover of music, support your artist. Do what you can. If you've got a job and you got money, they probably don't right now. So this would be a good time to like see what you could do to help, because you know it's a lot of these artists have been doing this their whole life, and this is all they have. So when everything closes down, they're in bad shape. So just kind of keep that in mind, guys. But this is Matt Gibson, Kingdom of Rock, Michael Molenda, Chris Cannella from Dean Guitars and Deicide signing out.
Bye, everybody.